All right, hey, what's up, guys? So I spend a lot of time over on the Fantasy Bookers subreddit and Grey Dog Software's forums, and one of the questions that always seems to come up is, how do you plan your stuff out? And not just a question directly to me, just in general, that seems to be a super common question: is how do you track your shows, your storylines, your roster? How do you keep all that? Together? How do you keep track of that when you're playing by yourself? When we do our Impact series, Kato and I, honestly, a lot of that we kind of just shoot a lot of that from the hip. We work together, so we're constantly throwing ideas off each other and bouncing it down, and so for that we kind of just use a notepad, and then we can kind of keep each other, up to date, I guess, on some of the ideas that we have. So not a whole lot of written planning goes into that for us. When I play by myself, though, I have to have, I've got a notebook that I use, but I've also got a Excel spreadsheet. Excuse me, I'm sick, so bear with me. I'll be taking quite a few water breaks here. I have an Excel spreadsheet that I use. I have to have something. I don't really, I get lost when I try and just shoot from the hip. That's one thing Kato's really good at. I'm not good at that. So when we work together, we kind of just shoot it that way. But when I work by myself, whether I'm doing something for the channel or I'm just kind of, dicking around with TCW here, I have to have an Excel spreadsheet. And so that's what I'm going to show in this little video here. I don't know how long it's going to be, but it'll be a little, just kind of a tutorial maybe on the sheet that I use. I've opened up a game here. It's a new game with TCW. I've never played TCW before. It's the Cornellverse, so it's the default Total Extreme Wrestling database, which is by far my favorite database. A lot of people like the real world mods. We're playing the real world, obviously, with Impact, but this is my baby. I love the Cornellverse. I've never played TCW before, so I thought about, let me just, within the last day or two, I thought, maybe try a little startup here, and maybe I'll record it, maybe I won't, but just kind of in my own spare time. So we'll pull it up. That's what we've got here. Is TCW. I'm playing as Kyle Rhodes. Is that who I'm playing as? Yes, I'm playing as Kyle Rhodes, the CEO of TCW. I'm the owner of the company. Haven't made any changes yet. This is the very first day. So the first thing that I do is, and I'll pull up my Excel spreadsheet here, and let me go back to the first page. Roster and info. So this is my roster page. This is not my spreadsheet. I didn't make this. I found it actually on the Grey Dog forums. I don't, for the life of me, I can't remember whose it is, or if I even downloaded it from the original creator. So if you spot this spreadsheet and it's yours, let me know, and I'll get some credit in there. But I don't know whose it is. But it's the one that I found is most effective for me. Again, I'm terrible at creating Excel spreadsheets, so no way this could ever be my work. But basically, it's got a couple of tabs at the bottom here. Some of them came with it, so you'll see roster and info, available managers, notes, cards, and graphics, storylines, and the card builder. So the available managers, that's just literally, I just created this just now, and all it is, let's add a little color here. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Let's make that 20, and sure, it'll be red, right? Let's make it red with a black background. Cool. These here will be, let's give these a yellow background, and let's make that 20-point font too. There. Basically, all this is, I just added this just now. I don't like to put my managers on my roster page. I find that it's easier just to list them out here with my manager on the left-hand side and then all their clients just right to the right of them. And it just kind of helps me keep track of whether I have the guys that I have that have managers, or if I have managers without clients. It just kind of puts them all in. I like to have them on one page so I can see them. I'm kind of crappy when it comes to using managers. I always forget about them. I always forget guys have managers. I'll turn guys heel and they'll still have a face manager, or vice versa. I always forget about it. So I like to have it right here, right in front of me on its own page. But we'll start with my roster page. At the top, I list my champions up top. And if you go to the notes, cards, and graphics page, it also puts it in there automatically. So when I add it to the roster, let's say Rocky Golden wins the world title, right? We change that to Rocky Golden. If I go over here, it changes it automatically to Rocky Golden. I don't know how they did that. Like I said, I didn't create this. Maxine Whitman probably knows how that happens. She's better at this stuff than I am. And I can see her judging me from the other room right now. But I don't know how that works, but it works. So, yeah, there's that. I don't have a link for this. Actually, I could probably find it. If anybody watching this, if you want it, just leave a comment down below, and I'll try and figure out a way to get it to you. But anyway, so I list out my whole roster, from my main eventers down to my enhancement talent. TCW doesn't have a women's division. If it did, the women's division would be in here. I don't list my announcers, I don't list my color, I don't list referees, road agents, authority figures, personalities, but you could put all those in there if you want them in there. I don't, just because I've never really, I don't think I've ever had a moment where I thought, gee, I wish I knew who my referees were. It never really mattered to me. Maxine is yelling at me because I don't care about my referees. I should care, but no, you shouldn't care about the referees. They don't really matter much. That's actually not true. They do matter in the game, actually. But for me, it never really mattered to me who my referees were. As long as I knew I had 3 or 4 referees who had decent ratings, it didn't really matter. So, but what I list here, and you can change these to kind of be whatever you need. But I list their name, the push I'm giving them currently. I've got a stable here. That actually should read stable / tag team. I kind of keep both in there. If they're in a tag, I pop it in there. This screen that you're looking at right now, I haven't really added any information yet. Some of these guys are in tag teams. And I haven't put that in yet. I just added the championships. I literally just filled this out 30 minutes ago before I started this. But if Farron Andrews was in a stable, I would put him in here. You can write in there none if he's not. But let's just say, for argument's sake, well, you know what, we'll use this one here. Then I list championships. Used on show. That was in there. That's one of the default. I'm waking Hurricane Maxwell up right now. I can hear her crying. I can hear Hurricane Maxwell fussing. That's why my voice just got really low right now, because I can hear her fussing upstairs. I'm being too loud down here. I'm about to wake up the hurricane. It's 10:40 p.m. by me right now. I'm on the East Coast. It's 10:40 p.m. and Hurricane Maxwell is stirring. No, so I'm gonna have to lower my voice a little bit. Hey, I need a soundproof studio. I am working on a Book It Better studio. I'm actually super excited about that. If you're watching this video now, hopefully there's gonna be a whole bunch of really awesome content coming up. We'll do some round tables, video round tables. You'll actually get to feast eyes. You actually get to lay eyes on Max Whitman. But yeah, we're gonna hopefully have a couple of guys come in, and we'll kind of set up a studio and do some actual round table style discussions. That's neither here nor there. For now, let's get back to this. So, used on show. I'm sidetracking here. I'm getting off track. My ADD's kicking in. Used on show. This was in the sheet when I downloaded it. I don't really think I've ever used it. Excuse me, I'm getting some water here. Throat's gone dry. But basically, if the 1 or 2 times that I have used it, I've just kind of used it to track whether they were on the previous week's show. So, the game does a pretty good job of telling you the last time somebody was used. So I find that it's kind of unnecessary. It's just a little extra work, to manually go in and change everybody's, yes, he was used, no, he wasn't. I suppose you could also use this as a yes for guys that you feature on TV and a no for guys you don't feature on TV. I guess you could do that. And then what that would allow you to do, so if I put yes in here, right, let's say yes, 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 right, and then no, 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 what you then could do, so let's say I'm using that as, hey, these are the yeses are guys that I want to feature every week on TV. The no's are guys that are either going to wrestle dark matches or they're going to wrestle on a minor TV show. What you can do then is you can sort it. So let's say I'm going to select only the yeses, right? And now the sheet is going to show me only people that I've put yes get used on the show. So if I was going to book a TV show and I didn't care about anybody I only want to see guys that I feature, that would be a really easy way to do that. I got them all right here. Then I just pop right back to select all. Okay, and it brings me, everybody pops right back up. I don't really use this though, although it is a good tool to have. But again, the game does a pretty good job of, in-game telling you, when the last time you used somebody was. So I find that it's usually just a little bit more work than is necessary. The same thing with the win-loss record. I added this one in, and I put this one in actually before I realized that the game does track that. I was doing just a quick save where I wanted to kind of book it like a real athletic contest where win-loss records mattered. And I thought about doing like a wrestling promotion where there was a season and you had wins and losses during the whole season and everybody kind of faced everybody. And then like my WrestleMania, so to speak, the 2 months prior to that would sort of be like the playoffs. So the guys with the best win-loss records sort of made like a tournament playoffs, with matches culminating at like my WrestleMania kind of thing. So I had the win-loss record listed before I realized that the game kind of does that. It ended up being just a lot of work to constantly update. But if there's one thing TEW players love, it's work that they add for themselves. Most of us are kind of stat freaks and we like to track things, and so if you wanted to use that, that's probably, then you could you could just kind of filter it based on what you wanted. I still like the idea of a pro wrestling season where everyone wrestles everybody, and it's definitely a concept that I'm going to use at some point. I just found that to do it all the time was just too much work. So I'm thinking maybe I'll kind of make that sort of like a tournament, kind of a tournament kind of style. Which, speaking of tournaments, you'll see I've got them listed here. I don't have any right now because TCW doesn't have any. But over here on the right, you'll see I have like the Ed Henson Memorial Tag Team Cup in March. That was from a save that I did with North of the Border Pro Wrestling, I think. And it was just kind of a tag team thing that I did. And so, again, you could list like, if I did like tournaments here, you could write it in right here. Like I could write like, whatever, let's say it's the King of the Ring, right? King of the Ring, put that in there, and then you can kind of just list, whatever, Rocky Golden, because I like him. So Rocky Golden, wins the King of the Ring. So you can either put that in there after he's won it, so you remember, hey, this guy won it, maybe he gets a title shot or something. What I usually do, actually, is I usually put that in there at the beginning of the year. So in January, I'll fill out all my tournaments with kind of an idea of who I want to win, and then I'll pop it in there, and I might color it like red, right? So basically, red would mean, and that's tentatively who I want to win, and then once it's official, I would make it black so that I know, okay, he won it. I believe that one transfers over too. It does. So once you pop that in there, it'll go on to that next sheet. The King of the Ring, Rocky Golden, will be there. So we'll get rid of that. You'll see if you're playing a Japanese thing, you've got room for excursions here. This whole sheet was originally designed for New Japan. That's where I jacked it from a New Japan. So you'll see they have excursion and all that kind of stuff. But you got a spot for injury, the type of injury, the length. You can add cells in there as you need them. Scouting. So if you kind of got your eye on somebody that you might want to be bringing in, you can pop his name down here so you don't forget. Potential stables, current promotion that guy's with. Just things like that that I like to use just so I don't forget. Again, the game does a pretty good job with short lists. You can add a guy to a short list, and it'll kind of send you updates on them. But I like to have everything right in front of me here so I don't have to jump between tabs in the game. So you could add a few there. I usually just put 2 because I'm not really usually scouting much more than that at one time. And I don't like to use these spots for guys that I already know that I want. It's more just maybe for like young up-and-comers that I'm taking a look at, and I kind of want to follow them a little bit, and I just use that as a reminder to kind of, check in on them every once in a while, and then I can track whether, they have a potential stable or something like that. Freelancers, again, I don't use it all that much. It made more sense when this was a New Japan sheet, but I keep it in there just because you never know. But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll cut it out and I'll just leave it in there at scouting. But I'll put all my tournaments here. Here are some some tournament ideas that I had: Young Lion tourneys, a Queen of the Ring, King of Kings tourney, that kind of stuff. But just for the record, so if you go over here, so I have it sorted by push here. You can do the same thing that you did with your used on show. You can do here. So if I only want to see my upper mid carders, I can do that. I can click that, click OK, and it's going to show me just my upper mids. Yeah. So what I will normally do with the stable is if they're not in a tag team, I'll put none in there. That way if I want to sort by it, I can just eliminate the nuns, and it'll only show me guys that are in a stable or a tag team. So that's pretty cool. I can do the same thing with championships here. You can pick which championship you want. But I find that less useful, but I like to have it in there anyway, just in case. So that's basically the roster sheet. That's that first tab is where I keep my roster, and eventually, what happens is, if you add a mid-carder or somebody moves up or down, you can either add them at the bottom and then just sort it by upper mid-card or main event, or you can just pop in, let's say I added an upper mid-carder. It's real simple, just insert an entire row, and boom, we're right there. So now I can just add another upper mid-card guy there. Let me delete the entire row. There we go. So now we're back. You can do it that way, or you can just add it down at the bottom, because once you sort it, it puts it where it'll kind of show you where everybody needs to be. I like to add the whole row though, just because I'm a little anal about it. We saw the available managers. That's pretty basic. Over here, it's notes, cards, and graphics. You see, it got a little smushed up here. I don't really know why it got smushed. I don't know how to fix it, but it's not really that important. But yeah, so you'll still be able to see your champions up here. This is actually one of my favorite ones. One of my favorite sheets. It's where I spend most of my time, because generally I kind of know who's on my roster without looking at the sheet. But this is where I'll spend most of my time. And one of the things that I like about it, basically, it's going to break up the pay-per-views. Basically, you got the blue lines in here. So I've got January here. Starting in January, I got Malice in Wonderland, The War Settled the Score, Just Another Day. So I list all my pay-per-views out. And then there's just some slots for matches here. Like you see, I have it outlined up here. TCW Heavyweight Title. So basically, the champion will always go here. So this is my first pay-per-view that I'll be doing, let's say. Starts in January. The game starts in January, right? The game does start in January? Yeah, so the game is week 1 in January. So that means Malice in Wonderland is going to be my first show. So Aaron Andrews will still be the champion. Mark Speed will be the international champion. And the tag team titles are still on Shark and Titan. Alright. So basically, the champion is listed on the left. And then I have 3 spots for challengers here. I don't usually fill all of them. So let's look at my storylines real quick. I'm not really familiar with TCW, like I said, so I'm still getting used to this. So where's my Aaron Andrews storyline? Here it is. Aaron Andrews and Rocky Golden. Aaron Andrews finally achieved his destiny when he became TCW World Champion in November, but now faces a battle to hold on to because former champion Rocky Golden has a strong case for a rematch, given that he was never beaten. Can the ace cement his place as champion, right? Okay, so Rocky Golden is definitely going to be, a challenger for the belt, right? Let's unbold him, because I don't know if he's going to win or not. Let's unbold him, right? So I usually pop him in there just as kind of, some ideas. So what we'll do, let's just go to our main eventers. Let's see over here. Main event, right? So let's say it's Rocky Golden. Whatever, we'll just use anybody for now, right? Let's just say Brian Vesey, right? Okay, so Brian Vesey is another possibility as a challenger. So there's two ways to use this here. You can either use it as, so if this was going to be a triple threat, obviously you'd list all three guys there. I generally try and have 2 or 3 challengers lined up, and that's basically like my plan A, plan B, right? So my plan A for Malice in Wonderland, because I believe Malice in Wonderland is, it's a historic pay-per-view. So Malice in Wonderland and Total Mayhem seem to be the 2 major pay-per-views that I have. I think I'd like to actually spread those out a little bit. Maybe put Total Mayhem down here like in August or September, so they're not right near each other. But for argument's sake, let's say Malice in Wonderland is our SummerSlam, right? Because I think Total Mayhem is where I'm gonna put my WrestleMania. But let's say Malice in Wonderland's our big show, right? So we want Rocky Golden, Aaron Andrews at Malice in Wonderland. That's gonna be a top tier match. We want that. So I'll put him as challenger 1. I'll put Brian Vesey as challenger 2, and Wolf Hawkins as number 3, right? So I have no intention of this being a 4-way, but at least it gives me options now of, okay, if Rocky goes down hurt, Brian Vesey's the next guy I want in. If Vesey, for whatever reason, can't step in, Wolf Hawkins is the guy that I want in. And it's really just kind of a challenger tracker sort of thing. Just kind of give me just so I can kind of get a visual on who I'm thinking, because you forget a lot of stuff. At least I do. And basically then we would put in bold the winner. So for now, let's say we want Andrews to keep the belt. Is Andrews a face or a heel? That's the other thing that I should add here. So on my roster, I'll probably be changing win-loss record to face heel, right? So we'll change it to face heel. So we'll be able to see now. We'll pop that in there. I'm not going to go through the whole thing now. But Aaron Andrews, he's a heel, right? Okay. So let's put him in there as a heel. Rocky Golden is the face, right? So in this playthrough, Aaron Andrews finally won it. Maybe at Malice in Wonderland, maybe he wins by some dirty tactics or whatever over Rocky. Maybe he gets some help, whatever. But we're going to bold him because we want him to retain the titles, right? The one cool thing that I like about this sheet is it's got so many more. So Psycho Circus is the last. That's December's pay-per-view. But you see it's got all these empty spots down here. It goes all the way down. It's basically got enough for 2 years worth of pay-per-views. So I would start right back up again here with Malice in Wonderland. This is January of 20... In the game, it's 2016, right? So this is December 2016. Down here, this is January of 2018. 2017, rather. So you can map out 2 full years if you're into the New Japan style long-term booking. You got, if you've got an eye for the big picture, this is a great sheet to use because it lets you plan out 2 years. And honestly, if you want to, you could just copy and paste. I could really just take like from here up. I could just copy and paste it all the way down. I could plan out, theoretically, I could plan out 5 years if I really wanted to. But yeah, this is basically where I spend almost all of my time, is in here trying to plan out my pay-per-views, and this is awesome because it really, again, if you're not shooting from the hip, and some people like to book that way and they're really good at it, I'm not. I have to see it. I'm visual. So this is kind of a great way for me to really map out and just kind of remember, like, oh shit, yeah, like I want to do, maybe I had Rocky Golden planned, for whatever, something down here. And like, ah, shit, I can't do it up here. So for me, being able to see that, it makes a big difference. If we shoot over here to the right, I don't really ever use this. This is like stable logos and pictures and stuff. I've never used this, like an image thing. When I downloaded this originally, there were some logos in here, but they were pretty New Japan specific. So I just kind of tossed them when I cleared everything out and made it my template. I tossed them, and I've never really used them. I don't really know what I would use pictures for in the game, at least. All the pictures are kind of in there, but you kind of make this whatever you want, really. On your right here, it's the current tour. Again, that's really Japanese company specific. Or if you're playing an American company with a touring schedule, you could list out what your tours were here, what dates they're running from, and when you finish them. Let's scroll down a little bit here. This is all kind of empty in here. Just kind of some empty space where, there are sometimes I'll pop things in there. Maybe I'll just post storyline ideas. Just things that, just kind of notes on shows, maybe. Just kind of whatever. Just things that I don't want to forget. What I like is all the way down. If you scroll all the way down, so again, tournament logos, notes and strategies. I think that's kind of, again, I don't really use that all that much because I use, because I have this, I kind of use, I like to map out in the game my storylines. But the storylines and feuds, this is kind of what I like. Booking and match aims. So when this was made, and I didn't do this, but when this was made, one of the things, and one of the other questions that a lot of people always ask is they need help understanding match aims and the booking notes and what those are, what those mean. And this really maps it all out. So like, for example, like regular, you're not sure which aim to choose and don't want to experiment and possibly get dinged in the grade. Work the crowd. The crowd is completely cold and you want to warm them up, so you use a work the crowd. Calm the crowd, obviously, the crowd is hot. Those are kind of easy, right? Lift the crowd. That's easy. Yeah, but things like high spots, the match should have been warmed up. The match before should have warmed up the crowd, either by being good or by you having used the work the crowd note. The worker should have high flashiness and aerial stats. So it kind of gives you a little hint on, if you want a good grade with high spots matches, what you have to do before the match, and then what the worker's skills should be. Same thing with technical masterclass. Your crowd is cold. The match before, you used calm the crowd, or this is the first segment of more than 6 minutes on your card. If you've got workers with high chain wrestling, mat skills, and basics, they can put on a fantastic bout. Pure realism, traditional hyper real like this. I like to do these as over 20-minute contests and add the slow build note. So it's kind of cool. So whoever made this really just kind of put those tips in there. And because it does, like things like storytelling, that match, a lot of products will require a storytelling match, and it doesn't really make it really clear what that is. This kind of really maps it out, right? You're telling your workers to keep it simple, therefore they won't give their best effort in the ring. Obviously, in that case, you probably don't want your workers taking it easy for the main event of your pay-per-view. This is a good TV mid-card match. It also has no chance of burning out your crowd. That's a big one. It has no chance of burning out your crowd. That's really the biggest positive to the storytelling match. And I didn't really know that until I read through this. So this is definitely, if you use this sheet, this is definitely a good thing to read over. Maybe even print this out and just kind of have it with you so you can kind of see it. But that's about it for this tab. Storylines, again, I barely ever use this because the game does such a good job of doing it for you. But basically, if you wanted to have everything in one sheet, you'd have your workers, their role, the success, the current heat, and the pay-per-view heat. Most of the time, I've left this in here because this is my template, but generally speaking, when I actually use the sheet, I just get rid of this page altogether. I don't use it because everything this page does, this tab in your game does better. It lists everything out, so if you're new to the game and you're wondering, should you use the Excel spreadsheet or the in-game storylines, use the in-game storylines. It tracks everything for you, keeps your grade right there. You never have to constantly change it after every single show. So I might use this. I might use this page just kind of to put ideas for storylines that I might want to use. But I almost never use it. It's kind of useless. And this is my card builder. Again, this one was not in the original sheet. I took this one from another sheet that I had found and added it in because I liked it so much. Basically, what it does... did it change all these? Let me see. I think it did. No, definitely did not. I'm wondering if it... I'm looking at this right here. It says Malice in Wonderland, the war to settle the score. I'm wondering, does that change when you change this? Or did I have a TCW save at some point? Let me see. Let's just change this to... Does this change? And now go over to the card builder. No. Okay. I didn't think so. So I must have half-assed a TCW save at some point. I don't remember doing that, though. But either way, Malice in Wonderland. Either way, the card builder is good. I like it. So on the right here is all my pay-per-views. And it's my pay-per-views for... Is it 2 years? Just 1 year? Obviously, you see down here, I still have a 1997 WCW save that I was using. Let's get rid of that. Clear contents. Okay. But you'd have your pay-per-views listed over here on your right. And then over here on the left is your TV. And it kind of counts down the time here. So let's say my main event, whatever. Basically, let's say I had my main event was going to be 30 minutes long. I'd put 30 minutes, and then right down here, it would tell me I have 88 minutes left to book. So that's kind of cool. I like that. You don't have to use it, but mainly because the in-game booker will also do that for you, so you don't need to have it. But if you're planning out, if you're pre-booking 4 weeks of television, so let's say you're leading into Malice in Wonderland like we are, I would book out 4 weeks of TV here. 1, 2, 3, 4, leading into this pay-per-view. And I could technically do all that without even having the game open, because I could put the times in there, and it would bring me the time that I need. I can change that to, right, so let's say I want this to be, let's say I want that to be, let's say my TV show is, whatever, 180 minutes, right? It's 3 hours long. I can still do that. What did I do? Whoops. Hold on. I screwed something up. I don't know what I did now. What did I do? We found a typo in your formula. No, I don't know what I did. Well, long story short, Maxine's going to come over and fix this. Alright, so this should be, actually I think I know what I did. It should be minus, and it's C3, so it's actually C3 minus 313, I think. That's what we need. There you go. So now we're at 180 minutes. I see, look at that. I didn't need Maxine. So now we're at 180 minutes. Now let's say I want to do a 30-minute pay-per-view, a 30-minute main event. Brings us down to 118 minutes. So that's kind of cool. It'll count down the show for you. So yeah, that's basically it. That's basically it on the sheet that I use. And this is kind of where I keep everything. I kind of do it all in here. Occasionally, if I want to get really into it, and I want to get really nerdy and get myself into it, occasionally I'll use Microsoft Word and I'll actually type up what's happening in every segment of my show, and I'll do it like I'll write it up like a script, as if I was actually writing the TV show. But yeah, that's basically what I use. If you want it, I'm more than happy to share. It's not mine anyway. It was shared with me, so I'd be happy to share it with you. Just leave a comment or shoot me a message, a direct message on here. But you can leave a comment down below. If you like this, please let me know. Go ahead, click subscribe so you get notifications when I put other stuff up. I think I might do this TCW save. I think I may not record all the TV, but I may do recordings for all the pay-per-views, and then just kind of talk you through what happened on the TV shows leading up to it. Because it's just kind of something that I planned on playing in my spare time. And maybe I'll do it like a tutorial series. I tried that. That was actually one of the very first videos I ever did. Was a Let's Play tutorial, and I just kind of never gained traction. I started with WWE. It was kind of a pain in the ass. Handling a roster that size, I wasn't very good at it. I was still fairly new to the game myself. But maybe I'll run this sort of like a tutorial kind of thing. So, but yeah, so thanks for stopping by. Thanks for taking a look. This is my sheet. I have one for pretty much every save that I use. Let me save this right now because I'll save it to my TEW folder. But yeah, so you'll see it here. I mean, I have all North of the Border Pro, Ring of Honor, WCW, WWE sheet, WWF 94. Let's save this as TCW sheet. There we go. So yeah, that's basically that's it for today. So again, let me know if you want it. I'll gladly send it over. Whether I can Dropbox it or email it or do whatever with it. I can share it in a Google Doc, whatever you need. But yeah, go ahead, click like, click subscribe. Check back in because I'll definitely be dicking around with TCW for a little bit. And I'll be putting up some more tutorial kind of style videos. Just do something a little different, I guess, in my spare time. If you've already subscribed and you follow us, stick around because, like I said earlier, we're really hoping to start doing some actual video roundtable discussions. We got some great topics. Again, this whole thing started off with a podcast almost a year ago, and the podcast never really took off. We kind of got into the booking, but we're having a lot of fun with the YouTube stuff. So we're kind of in the process of setting up a studio, and we'll do a couple, some sit down discussions. So also, if you have ideas for sit down discussions that you want to hear Cato, Professor, and I sit down and talk about, leave those in there as well. Leave them in the comments section. So thanks for joining, and feel free to stop by next time.